Good afternoon, Warren Township Schools. Dr. Mingle, Superintendent here with hopefully a briefer update than we had last week, just to kind of orient everybody to where we are here at the end of the third week of our school closure as we head into spring break. So real quick reorientation, we are now finishing up week 3, which is what we scheduled before we went out, and we're heading into spring break next week, which is April 6th through 10th. As far as spring break goes, I do want to point out that district operations are now shut down and will remain shut down until 9 a.m. on Monday, April 13th. What that means from a practical standpoint is I have directed staff members to disengage from their work and to not respond to phone calls or emails. If there is an emergency situation, a high priority, generally speaking, the only topics I can think fall into that are ones of major health concerns, related to a student or a staff member, then please email us at covid19@warrentboe.org. And that email address will be monitored several times a day in case we need to respond to something of an emergency standpoint. Other than that, please respect and understand that if you reach out to a staff member, they are on spring break and they will be back in touch after we return the week of Monday, April 13th. On that note, I do want to say that from all of us at the school district, we wish our families and our staff members good health during this time away from work and school, and hope that we all return on Monday, April 13th, with the light at the end of the tunnel as far as our national medical emergency situation is concerned. So how are we feeling in general? In our weekly update of how students are doing, which we ask through our parents, we know that we have generally about 80% reporting that their students are feeling fine, another 20% feeling stressed or worried but doing okay. We did see from week 1 to week 2 that the 3 students who were indicated not doing well went down to 0. We did have a lower participation rate in week 2. It's hard to draw conclusions about what that means exactly, but we do encourage everybody to fill out that survey. You don't have to write anything in the open-ended questions if you don't want to, but this one question does help us prioritize where our needs might be. In the survey results about areas of concern, in week 1, you can see that our general concerns at the elementary level had to do with parental support, structure, and a desire for synchronous learning. And at the middle school, mostly around interaction and structure. In week 2, at the elementary level, we saw that the area of maintaining focus became the highest concern parents reported, keeping kids engaged, especially as things that might have been engaging in the beginning become more monotonous. Managing parent-student schedules from 2 different standpoints. Parents who are working from home themselves have difficulty being able to be there to support their children, especially younger children. And when there are multiple children in the home, that creates challenges for management as well, and a lack of interaction with teachers being the third. At the middle school level, the concerns generally stayed the same: lack of interaction with peers and lack of interaction with teachers. We know that kids are doing all kinds of creative things to solve the interaction problem, but it's different when it's through school than when it's through maybe personal relationships. But we also saw emerge at the middle school a concern that there's too much work. There are individuals saying that they feel like there is not enough work for their children, but the third highest comment that we received at the middle school was a concern that there was too much work. On the staff side, we also asked the same question we asked our parents last week about what's your current comfort level with the use of asynchronous video, whether that be for morning meetings, class check-ins, or instructional purposes. Our staff reported generally a rating of about 3 on a 1 to 5 scale. So there were some staff who feel like they're very confident, and there are also some staff who feel like they are definitely not ready for asynchronous video. This is as of about a week ago, while the vast majority of our parents said, we are supportive of the move to asynchronous video. One big difference between those 2 answers: our parents' feedback is we're comfortable with teachers doing the work it takes to provide asynchronous video usage. The feedback from our staff is we need to learn the skills to be able to do this well. When we check in with our staff, which we do on a daily basis on how they're feeling, you're going to see that the stress level jumped for our staff last Thursday to Friday. That was the same time that we announced the move from the original implementation of kind of a level 1 distance learning to one that will require video usage. So we recognize that the necessary movement will create stress, and so it's important that we as the leadership team are providing the resources necessary, which we worked on this week at our first professional development day. What I'm happy to report is our staff members went from a 3.1 comfort level with using asynchronous video to a 3.7 after just one day of professional learning, which is a great credit to our staff for the seriousness with which they approached that day, and to people like Bill Kimmick, our curriculum director, Stacy Medunio, our curriculum supervisor, our instructional specialists, our technology teachers, who did a great deal of work to support the staff, especially those who were uncomfortable with getting to a level of basic comfort with moving to asynchronous. The blue line represents synchronous video, which is not on our implementation plan at this point. But we still asked the question about where people were. We didn't expect that to go up because we didn't do any training around it. So let's kind of remind ourselves of where we are and where we're going. When we launched, we were at level 1, text-based assignments on teachers' websites. You should now be starting to see that we are getting into short videos to either introduce a lesson or greet students or do a morning meeting, and then possibly in some places mini lessons as well. There are all different ways this is taking shape, and our staff is learning from each other about what's working and what's not. We have not defined a specific tool yet because we're trying to let staff experiment with what works for them. So we're opening up lots of different options without us dictating one thing or another. In order to move to level 4, which would be synchronous small group meetings with teachers or staff members for things like office hours, we will require a release from parents due to ongoing privacy concerns and legal issues. So there is a release available in the parent portal of Genesis now. Parents can log in and give us permission or not for their kids to participate in video chats and usage. There's no requirement that students participate in those things, but in order for us to move down the road towards level 4, those releases will need to be taken care of. We, again, are not, at this point, looking towards synchronous video for live teaching and learning. There are all kinds of obstacles that would need to be overcome that maybe if this is extended to the end of the school year, we need to consider, but right now that does not seem like the best use of time for our staff or our students. And we definitely have quite a few families who are expressing concern about the potential of synchronous learning as well. So how will we get to this more fully implemented use of asynchronous video? Well, the week after spring break, we will continue movement Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, our teachers will get some additional time for professional development. Not only will that focus on supporting anybody who needs additional support with video, but we will reach conclusions about marking period 4 grading expectations and how we will deliver new content as we move forward. Our students will engage in virtual field trips around oceanography on Wednesday. And then by the end of the week, we will be fully implemented with asynchronous video if we aren't already before that. The following week, which is not currently officially a distance learning week, but based on the guidance from the state, we expect that it will become distance learning. We will be fully implemented, obviously, our asynchronous video usage, and we will be moving into new instruction, new content in any places where we haven't already. We'll have PD on Wednesday, where we will help support our staff in being able to offer office hours and extra help through synchronous video. Our students will engage in virtual field trips on Earth Day, about Earth Day. And then if we extend beyond that week into April 27th and beyond, we will be back in touch with what that means for how we deliver our instruction. So to conclude, I just want to again reiterate how proud I am to be the superintendent of the Warren Township Schools, not just during this crisis, but at all times. It's really a special community, the way everybody's pulling together. If you haven't followed all the stories in our daily updates, I encourage you to take some time during spring break to check them out. Thank you to Shannon Regan, our communications coordinator, who's compiling all those stories and making sure that everybody knows about the great things people are doing. Kids, parents, community members, staff members, everybody really pulling together to do what's best for our students. So with that, I wish you all a healthy spring break, and we'll see you again the week of April 13th. Thank you.